On a bright beautiful day, a servant came to His Highness, who was admiring the view through his window. He had very important news for His Highness. His search was successful. In a beer shop, the owner was again beating up a little girl. "You worthless wretch. If you won't work, forget about the food. I took you in out of pity, you could do something in gratitude." Even though the girl said that she was in pain, but the master still did not pay attention to it. "Don't let her play hard to get. The damsel in distress. All she knows how to do is pretend to be sick." The man continued to hurt the girl. She was lucky she was like her mother. Baron Abello gives a lot of money for that kind of girl. If she continued to work like that, her master would not only not give her any food, he would sell her into slavery. Just when he needed to pay off his gambling debts. But the first thing he wanted to do was to check for defects in the goods. He started undressing the girl and getting into the naughty places. But the girl broke free of him and ran away. If this continued, she might die. She didn't want to be beaten to death. They say a body was found again at the baron's estate. The girl's clothes were all tattered and her body was covered in bruises. She was given 20 gold pieces, enough for 6 months of a well-fed life. A young girl like her would get several times that. As she was running, she accidentally tripped and fell, and a ring she treasured fell out of her pocket. "Blondie. Your father gave it to me. Take care of it, my dear." She remembered her mother's words as she picked up the ring. In the dirty and shabby pouch was a sparkling ring. After she was born, her father had abandoned her like a kitten. Her mother said it was a gift from her father, whose name the girl did not even know. A precious legacy she had inherited from her mother. She had nothing else, and she wanted to save it, but now she had no choice. She had to survive somehow in this harsh world. And why keep the ring of a father who had abandoned her? It was more important to save herself. She didn't want to be sold, so she decided to sell the ring to a fence. She walked into the shop and said hello to the owner. The fence recognized her. He figured that apparently Nordy had sent her out to sell something again. He'd be a hump for a humpback, and he'd only get his hands cut off at the elbow. But the girl said she was selling her own thing today. The miser was very surprised and looked at the girl suspiciously. The girl told him that her mother had given her this treasure. She had given her a bag in which the ring lay. When he saw it, he realized that the girl had had the bag for a long time. It was all stained and wiped clean. "Lily, your mother passed away 3 years ago. Now she can only hope for the one who abandoned her. Poor child." The girl pulled a ring from the pouch and held it out to the man. Since she was asking for it, he would appreciate it. He warned her at once not to count on much money. Looking at it, he assumed that this work was very cheap and looked like a fake, but looking at the ring from the other side he was very surprised. He immediately accused the girl of stealing, and asked where she had stolen the ring. But the girl had not stolen the ring. Then where did she get such a thing? The man asked angrily. She said, as before, that this ring was given to her by her mother before she died. She said it was the only thing her father had left her. He didn't tell her there was a royal pattern on the stone. He asked her not to go anywhere. He had somewhere to go. The girl obediently waited for him in the store. And then the owner returned. But surprisingly he was not alone. There was some mustachioed man and 2 guards with him. The man made sure that the engraved ring had been brought by the girl. And then he ordered the girl to be taken away with them. The girl resisted. She offered money just so she wouldn't be sold into slavery. She asked for help from everyone around her, but no one responded. They put her in a carriage and took her to some unknown place. They arrived at some large building. The girl could not see much, because it was already dark. They took her into a room and told her to behave herself. She was scared and lonely because she, a little girl, had been brought to some unfamiliar place. She sat down on the bed and began to cry. What was going to happen to her? A few hours later, 2 gendarmes came into her room. The girl thought it was Baron Abello who had come for her. A white-haired man, dressed in beautiful clothes, came up to her and asked what her name was. The girl confusedly asked him who he was. Without answering her question, he asked her, "Your mother's name is Lily, am I right?" The girl said her mother's name was Lily. Did he know her mother? Looking at the girl, the man found the girl's resemblance to her mother. She asked him again, who was he? Finally, he answered her, he is Tris Ryan Aberti Ates, ruler of the Ates Empire, and her father. The next morning, the princess slept sweetly in her bed. The maids who entered her room woke her up. The previous night, a man who called himself her father had brought her to the palace. The first thing they began to teach her was royal family etiquette. Learning aside, it was like she was locked up in a palace. It was as if she was locked up in that palace. When she had more or less learned the rules of etiquette and behaved like a member of the royal family, the king invited her to a tea party. The maid who told her about it was to bring her into the garden. Strange. She will go to meet her father, but why does she not feel joy? On their way to the royal gardens, they passed through a room with many sculptures of leopards. One of them reminded her of her past master, who used to beat the girl all the time. And so they came with the maid to the king. The young lady thanked His Highness for inviting her to tea. It seems that she had been well taught etiquette. He introduced her to her half-brother and sister, and their names were Lart and Adele. The king looked at the young lady and said it was bad that her eyes were not golden in color. He warned her not to let anyone know of her origins. No one should know of his weakness. The girl was constantly sick, so she was sent to another country for treatment. She was returned to the empire as soon as her health improved. She may not be believed, but that is the only truth. The girl realized that it was a hint that she was only a thing. She would be careful to choose her words and keep her head down. Good. She is not stupid, though she is not pure-blooded. When the girl walked into the palace, her shoulder was sore from being overexcited. When she wanted to go to her room, she was stopped by Lart. The girl turned to face him and bowed. The boy began to taunt the girl. She had no business being in the castle. She had been well taught etiquette, and bowing was very much to her liking. Who taught her to bow so well? Continued the boy. Is it crickets? The boy said mockingly. He laughed loudly. But Blondie calmly replied that crickets do not teach people. Is he so stupid that he doesn't know that? The boy, of course, did not like that answer. How could she talk to him like that? Let her know her place. Angrily the boy replied. The girl calmly continued that she knows her place, but why did he suddenly start shouting? Lart continued to answer the girl rudely. How dare she laugh at the royal family? The girl did not understand how she had offended the boy. At this answer, the boy became even more angry. How dare she? She has the blood of a commoner in her. He would not accept such taunts. But unexpectedly for him, the girl simply apologized. She apologized to him and asked him to stop this useless argument. Just at that moment, Adele joined them. She told Lart to stop the buffoonery. Then she turned to Blondie. If she ever dared to humiliate Lart again in front of her, Adele would not stand by. Blondie said she was only responding to the man who had pounced on her for no reason. She wasn't the one who started this unpleasant misunderstanding. To clarify the situation, Adele asked her if Lart had started it all. The girl knew that if she said it out loud, the boy would cause a scandal here. So she remained silent. Adele asked the blonde, from now on, to behave with dignity. Not to undermine the respect of the royal family with his reckless actions. They wouldn't get off that easily. It was better to play dumb, smile and reply that she understood and would not do it again. After that, the children separated. Adele immediately told her brother off. Was he mocking her? A decent man doesn't behave like that. They need to get away from that wench. If they breathe the same air as her, they also lose their honor. Strange kids, if she's going to live like a dead rat, she can easily avoid meeting them, thought Blondina. As the girl opened the doors to the garden, she heard a cat meowing. Where is he meowing? Blondine thought. She walked through the garden in the direction from which the sound was heard. After walking a little behind a bush, she saw the cat. He was hurt. But, surprisingly, the beast began to resent the fact that it wasn't a cat. The girl couldn't even think he was talking. She thought he was very cute. But the beast was still displeased with the girl's behavior. The girl noticed that he had hurt his paw. The cat asked her squeamishly, what did she care about that? She wanted to ask how he had hurt his paw, and turning her head she saw a broken branch. Apparently, he had fallen off it. As she was talking to him, she saw two other cats hiding behind some bushes. She thought these two had attacked him. The girl went up to them and asked why they were hurting the black cat. They looked at each other guiltily. Blondie said that it was very mean and disgusting to attack one together. In their excuse, they said that the black cat had bitten their tails. There was an instant reaction from him. They were the ones who first attacked him from underneath. Disgruntled, the cat shouted. To which the cute cats replied that they were just playing, and he attacked them. After these words, they ran away. The girl shouted after them not to forget to apologize later. Then she turned to the black cat. She invited him to come with her. That she would take care of his wound. But the cat was not happy with such an offer. The cat didn't want to go somewhere with a stranger. Then to solve the problem, the girl offered to get acquainted. Her name was Blondie Ryanatez. But the cat still grudgingly replied that he wasn't going to meet her. But the girl insisted on meeting her. He didn't have any friends, did he? She held out her hand to him and offered to be friends because she was very lonely. She told her story that her mother had died and she had just met her daddy, but he didn't love her. That's not all. Her little brother hates her. Takes it upon himself to attack her. It's very lonely in the big castle. Please let's be friends and play together. The cat recognized himself in this sad story. He remembered that in the past, the people he lived with chased him away and called him a monster. Blondie kept begging the animal to go to her room. The first thing he needs to do is bandage the wound. If left as it is, the wound will hurt. After sitting a little longer, the cat jumped into her arms. But he told the girl not to be deceived. When she bandaged his wound, he would leave right away. He did not say they would be friends. But even from these words, the girl hugged the cat and cried. He was the first person she had ever befriended in this place. She told him he was a very good cat, to which he again answered angrily that he was not a cat. But after all, he looks like a real cat, hugging the cute animal, Blondine told him. At that moment a guard called to her. He greeted the princess, but when he saw the animal in her arms he immediately fell to his knees, and saluted one of the great families of sacred leopards. The girl did not understand what was happening, and at that moment the cat jumped from her arms and turned into a handsome boy about her age. Then he reiterated to her that he was not a cat. And the girl froze and just stared at him in silence. But he was a cat, how did he become a man? Blondie was perplexed. Even though he had become human, there was still a wound on his body. The princess asked how he was feeling. The boy replied that his leg was a little sore. A little embarrassed, the boy replied. At this point, he looked so cute that the girl called him a cutie. This boy is from Shinsu's toughest family, the Black Panther. So young, but his strength, beyond human capabilities. The boy turned to the guardian. Why was he looking for the princess? He replied that His Highness had ordered him to deliver the imperial bracelet to her. Why did he not come personally to deliver the bracelet? The boy asked, surprised. Such was the emperor's order. It was not proper for servants to discuss orders. He already had to go, so he got up from his knees and bowed once more and went. The boy shouted after him not to tell anyone what he had seen. When the guard left, the boy turned to the princess. What do you think of my true appearance? The girl said he was sweet and beautiful. But that was not the answer he expected. He wanted her to notice his majesty and power. Then nodding to him, she replied that he had just turned into a man. It's a true miracle. He used to be a cat. The boy couldn't agree more, his body was amazing. Why did we have a fright? Not of him, but of the nondescript man who had just come to them. The girl replied that that man appeared to her to be much bigger and scarier. The boy told her that appearances can be deceiving. He could tear her heart out with one hand. The girl reacted calmly to this statement. Even though he can do it, they have a decent size difference. She told the boy to go with her to treat his wound. But the wounded need to be inflicted on his hands. So he has to turn into a cat again so that she can take him in her arms. He turned into a cat again and jumped into her arms. When the girl brought him to her room, she asked what his name was. He answered that his name was Amanakin. But she could call him Bridie. That's what his mother used to call him. It's a good thing it's shallow early on. Shinsu's wounds heal much faster than humans. By the time she finished bandaging, it was getting dark outside. So Bridie made the decision to sleep on the bed with the girl. He was a little surprised by the girl's behavior. She agreed to let him sleep in her bed without any hesitation. She said that he was just a cute kitty, and she would never say no to such a cute animal. She took good care of him, so he would sleep near her more often. This is the first time Great Shinsu has ever slept in a human dwelling. The girl wondered why this was the first time he was sleeping in a human dwelling. Blondie replied that the Shinsu are not friends with humans. How did that happen? The kitty replied that he hated humans, they reeked of cunning and stupidity. Then the girl said that she stinks too. But the cat calmed her down and said that she didn't stink a bit. Oh, if that's so, then how do I smell? He said that her smell was not like a human. After that, the girl asked how old he was. She's 11. Amon sprawled out on his pillow and answered that he was 9 years old. That makes her older than him. Aren't animals considered adults at 9? He doesn't really look like an adult then. He told her that they grow up at 18 to 19. That's when they have their coming-of-age ceremony. They are unusual panthers. The girl wanted to stroke him on the forehead, but the cat immediately stood up angrily and told her not to touch him there. Then she was transferred to another one anew, and Amon kept coming to her as if to his own home. He always made rude excuses, but the girl was always glad to see him. One day in His Highness's room, he was playing chess with his subject. They were talking about some magical powers in people they had sought out specifically for this purpose. Once again, the person they found had no reaction to the magic stones. Only people with golden eyes and hair have this ability. The blonde is not like her mother. Her hair is the same color. But Lily didn't have the ability. Still, His Highness loved her madly. Despite her origins, he wanted to protect her and the child, but he had to take the throne to do so. The only thing he could do was to leave her and ask her to wait. He promised her he would come back. But the rarer you see someone, the quicker you forget them. It was worth reaching the throne, and he stopped pining for her at once. The woman named Lily became a distant dream. And his reality became a palace. When he became emperor, he became obsessed with finding people with golden hair and eyes. Solely because they are able to subdue the beasts that oppose the power of the emperor. For years now, the beautiful panther has been fooling around with the ruling family. As the princess sat in her room, a servant girl knocked on her door. She brought the game of dice she had asked for. On her way she met Lady Lucy, who decided to join her. From behind the maid looked out a girl who said hello to the princess. She sweated to her at the table she had brought with her some sweets. Lucy is the youngest daughter of the Earl of Harrow and a maid who was introduced to her 3 months ago. The Star's palace has no peers, she was lonely, and Lucy was the only one she could talk to quietly. When Lucy first met Amon, she marveled at his beauty. But as soon as she saw the stone of transformation on his forehead, she immediately turned pale with fear and fell to her knees. She greeted one of the greatest of the sacred panther family. With terror she could not stand on her feet. Then, when she saw the blonde talking to him as if nothing had happened, she approached quietly, still not restraining her trembling. All these months, the baby cougar has been very sweet. Even though Lucy shudders from time to time, she still brings Amon cookies. Lucy asked the princess why Mr. Amon wasn't here yet. She herself was curious. The blonde wondered why Lucy was so attracted to him. The girl answered that he was handsome and very nice. The princess could not agree more, she also liked his black fur and his sparkling eyes. Eyes like real jewels. And then Amon came to them through the window. The girls were shocked, because he looked very strange. He had a bloody bird in his teeth.